Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Leader Talk. I'm SEAC retired John Wayne Troxell, your host. A lot to talk about today. Today's episode is focused on the rule of law. And we've had some incidents here that we need to really discuss here lately. The key one being an attempted assassination. So the former was doing a rally at a farm in Butler, Pennsylvania, as we all know. And a young 20-year-old man somehow made his way onto a roof of a building that was unprotected by Secret Service, and he took a shot at Fortunately, he just wounded him. Unfortunately, there was a firefighter, Corey Comparator, who was killed, along with a few other rally goers injured. A very bad day in the history of the United States. So when I look at this assassination attempt, a few things stick out to me. First of all, we have to make sure that politics are not involved in law enforcement, especially when it comes to rule of law. And I'm not suggesting that politics were involved, but 10 minutes prior to taking the stage, the U.S. Secret Service knew that this guy was on a roof and that he had been acting squirrely and he was a person of interest. And yet we still allowed to take the stage. And then a 20-year-old gunman who has a little bit or no social media presence and has been on the fence of whether he is on the far right or far left of his political beliefs, all of a sudden is able to move in, outsmart some Secret Service agents, get onto a roof that was unprotected. And why was this roof unprotected? Well, according to the director of the Secret Service, it was because it was a sloped roof and there were safety considerations by putting agents on that. Now, I will tell you, as a guy that served 38 years in the military, 5 years in combat, whenever you are looking for a position that could potentially be used by a threat or a position you want to use, you want to have what is known as a military crest to that, meaning that there should be a little bit of a slope so that you could duck down behind and have cover. And when you need to rise up to engage a target, you can rise up and engage and duck down behind a target. The more flatter the slope, the more that you are exposed to potential enemy fire or potential counterattack. So I don't buy it that the slope is too slopey, because two of the counter sniper teams were on a roof that had a much more significant slope than was on the building that the actual shooter was on. So that raises eyebrows to me right there. You know, the other thing is the actions of the agents. I think we've all seen the video. Some of those agents, you heard it on video. What are we doing? What are we doing? And then you saw another agent that struggled to holster their pistol and seemed not so confident in their duties. Here's what I will tell you. As a guy that has been on the X in combat and has practiced countless hours to master my basic skills in terms of being a marksman, my battle drills, my trauma management skills and things like that, when I saw that, nothing against those agents, but I saw a lack of confidence. And that lack of confidence could have been for a couple reasons. Incompetence on behalf of those agents. And that incompetence could have came from they are not practicing and rehearsing their battle drills at simulated combat speed. And when you are practicing holstering and unholstering your pistol countless times, under simulated combat conditions, it builds a muscle memory and an instinctiveness that you can do it just without thinking about doing that. So when I saw these actions there, I got concerned. And now you're hearing from the media, which you can't trust all the time, that these may not have been true Secret Service agents or whatever. But the bottom line is this whole assassination attempt raises some serious eyebrows on how this was able to happen. So my heart goes out to the Comparator family, and he was a firefighter and a true American and everything. My heart goes out to his family. Our prayers are with those that were wounded in this attack. So, when we come back after our commercial break, we're going to talk about the rule of law and some of the things that I see going on now where people have kind of warped it. But before we get to that, let's hear from our sponsors at Downrange Supplements.
Downrange Supplements. As the brand of the troops, we produce only the highest quality supplements conducive to mission effectiveness. Whether it's our fully dosed pre-workout, recovery and rehydration, or Mermite protein, it's time to continually improve your fighting position with Downrange Supplements. Go to www.downrangesups.com today and take your training to the next level.
Hey folks, welcome back to Leader Talk. I'm SEAC retired John Wayne Troxell. We're talking about the rule of law here. And another event that happened recently is the Republican National Committee just had their convention in Milwaukee. And there were people holding up signs when people were talking about a mass deportation of illegal immigrants. And they were holding up signs that said mass deportation. And on social media, people took that as, we're going to get rid of all immigrants in this country, which is absolutely a ludicrous way of thinking. The people with those signs and people that exercise reasonable common sense, a reasonable common sense approach to the rule of law, know that what we're trying to do, if somebody has entered this country illegally, meaning between the ports of entry, they've broken the law. They have broken the rule of law. They are here illegally. And those people do not deserve to be in this country. If they come through the right way, through the port of entry, seek asylum or seek citizenship, the average American is, hey, we're all for that. That's what our country is built on. But our country is not built on to have an open border where people can just come in and do whatever they want. And the other part of that is these people are criminals, and people even use that like, how are they a criminal? Well, they broke the law coming into the country. They jumped over a wall down in the Sunland Park area of El Paso, Texas, which I was there 2 months ago and witnessed it myself. And then they come in and they are taken in by the Customs and Border Patrol people. And because of the direction our country has been going the last 3+ years on illegal immigration, not only can they come in, break the law, but we're going to give you a place to stay in a high-rise hotel. We're going to give you a monthly stipend. We're going to give you a brand new cell phone. And we're also going to give you free food. Meanwhile, millions of people, American citizens, are homeless, living under bridges. And that includes a significant number of veterans that have served their country honorably that are now living homeless, and they can't get the support they need, but yet someone that breaks the law and comes into this country illegally can get all the benefits that we should be giving to our veterans. So this illegal immigration stuff where these people are going on social media, it's all a narrative that gets after trying to make sense of a policy that in reality doesn't make any sense because it is clearly a violation of the rule of law. And the other thing is we've seen these non-peaceful protests, people burning down buildings, people vandalizing, people hurting and murdering innocent civilians, and we want to give them a pass, or a certain part of this nation wants to give them a pass. To a point, one ousted newsman even said, show me where it says protests have to be peaceful. Well, it's written into our Constitution there, dude, right? That you have the right to peaceful assembly. And peaceful assembly means that you are not impinging on others' rights and you're not destroying government or private property, that you are there peacefully assembling and demonstrating that you're opposed to something. And then you look at the other things where the rule of law has taken a hit by politicians that want to make it okay for people to go in and steal stuff out of stores. Stores that hardworking Americans, some of them legal immigrants, that we want to make it okay that you go in and steal stuff. As long as it's not over $1,000, you can steal whatever you want. That's a law in some states or a policy in some. Makes absolute zero sense. So the bottom line here is when we start putting a premium or getting on a slippery slope with the rule of law, especially when it comes to conducting illegal acts, and certainly when it comes to allowing anybody and everybody to enter our country, that becomes a problem. And pretty soon, what you thought was a country is no longer a country. Now, I will tell you, it kills me. You know, I'm 60 years old. I spent 38 years in the military, and I absolutely love my nation. And I've served around the world. I've been in some poorest countries. I've been in countries that struggle to keep their own and maintain their own sovereignty. But you have a certain part of our population that continues to spew rhetoric that the United States of America is the most racist nation on the planet. And that we treat people with a lack of dignity and respect. And we do things that are abhorrent. And historically, that's what we've done ever since the Declaration of Independence was signed. But I'm here to tell you, nobody in the world, no other nation in the world, is there something called like the American dream, that you have the ability, if you push yourself and you challenge yourself and you do things the right way, that you can achieve prosperity for you, your family, and generations down the line. It's built into the way this country started. But because we have people that will continue to criticize their own nation and talk about all these things, all of a sudden it makes it okay for others to start attacking us, to start coming after the United States of America. And the other thing is, when people have this radical ideology that the United States is inherently bad, and they start showing open support to terrorist organizations or other nations that don't have the freedoms and liberties that the United States has, it empowers those state and non-state actors to want to do things against the United States of America. So the bottom line is, the United States of America is the greatest nation in the world. And that's not me grandstanding. That's me having traveled the globe over 38 years and seen countries out there who want the United States next to them because they understand that if they want their own sovereignty protected, the closer they have someone like the United States of America with them, the less likely somebody is going to try to come in and impinge on their freedom, their homeland, and way of life. So God bless America. All right, let's take another break before we come back with our final segment. And let's hear again from our sponsors at Downrange Supplements.
How you guys doing? I'm Colton Smith, and I'm announcing right now, Downrange Supplements is in your local commissary. If you're anywhere near a base and you have base access, get to the commissary and check out our pre-workout, our rehydration BCA formula, and our protein. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It is the best in the market, and Listed 9 Fight Company, my brand, is partnered with Downrange Supplements for a reason, and I tell you, their products work. And also, don't forget, we kill suckers.
Hey folks, welcome back to Leader Talk. I'm SEAC retired John Wayne Troxell. We're talking about the rule of law. In this final segment, I want to talk about the law of land warfare as it relates to the rule of law. You know, on social media, I've talked a lot about social media, but there's a very influential person on X who recently made a comment, and he applauded this administration for having us in zero wars, us, the United States of America, in zero wars. And as I thought about that statement, I thought about everything that's happened over the last 3 years with our troops. And yeah, on the surface, we are not in any declared wars. But let's think about what's happened the last 3 years. In August of 2021, we made an abrupt decision, we, the United States of America, to withdraw from Afghanistan. And so, as someone who was the Command Sergeant Major of all combat forces in Afghanistan in 2011 and 12, at the height of the surge there, I knew this was going to be a monumental task. Because you're telling a nation, the Afghan security forces, who we had been there supporting for 20 years, that we will always be there with you. We used to call it Shona Bashona, shoulder to shoulder, we'll be here with you. And just like that, we decide we're out of here. We're ending this war. And now our troops have to look at their Afghan counterparts and say, see ya, we're out of here. Good luck. We cut off funding. We left all equipment that we'd give them behind. But more importantly, we took the troops out first, and we left American citizens and special immigrant visa people behind. I've talked about this in earlier episodes. But what I'm getting at is when we say we're in zero wars, but that incident there, that withdrawal, caused the death of 13 American soldiers. And then the war in Ukraine, the full-on invasion by Russia in Ukraine, happened in February of 22. And we've given hundreds of billions of dollars to the Ukraine government. Rightfully so, in Troxell's opinion, to keep the Russian bear at bay and allow Ukraine to defend their own sovereign territory. But if we're providing hundreds of billions of dollars to another nation to fight a war, in Troxell's opinion, that's a proxy war that we are fighting. And then October 7th of 2023, when Hamas attacked Israel, killed 1,200 people in the ensuing fights that have gone on there in Israel, and the war that's going on between Hamas, Israel, as well as Hezbollah in Israel, we continue to support the Israelis with munitions, with funding, and things like that. So again, we may not be at war, but there's an argument that there's a proxy war right there. And then, since that fight started in October, we've had 2 Navy SEALs that died in the Bab al-Mandeb Strait between the country of Djibouti in Africa and Yemen in the Middle East. One fell in, the other, his buddy jumped in to try and save him, and unfortunately they both perished. And then on January 28th of this year, one of the over 200 attacks that we had on our troops in Syria and Iraq and Jordan since October 7th ended up killing 3 American troops at Tower 22 in Jordan. And so I say to that person that thinks that we're in zero wars, tell that to the Gold Star families of those that lost their lives at Abbey Gate in Afghanistan, to the 2 Navy SEALs that lost their lives in the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, and certainly to the 3 soldiers that were killed at Tower 22 by an enemy drone in January. Tell that to their families that there are zero wars going on. The other thing is, we have people with short memories. And the minute an incident like this happens, all of a sudden it gets buried. And pretty soon people forget that troops have died in combat. And they start making statements like, well, we've had 0 troops killed on our watch. It's complete bullshit. Because guess what? Those families never forget. For the rest of their lives, the spouses, the parents, the brothers and sisters, the extended families, their fellow troops, all of them will have a lifetime of suffering. And how do I know this? Because I've got a lifetime of suffering from the 54 troops I lost during the surge in Iraq, the 4 I lost as a battalion level sergeant major, and the over 200 American troops we lost when I was the sergeant major of all combat forces in Afghanistan. You never forget about that. And these were just my battle buddies or troops that served under me. Now think of the immediate families. They never forget. And for someone in a high-level position to suggest or have a short memory to say, oh, we haven't lost any troops, it's absolutely embarrassing. It's absolutely, completely wrong. and we got to do better. This leads me to my warrior shout out. And the warrior shout out I'm giving this time goes to Corporal Brandon Craig, who 17 years ago yesterday was killed in action as a member of my patrol in Iraq during the surge. It was the worst day of my life. We came under attack by an Iranian explosive form projectile and small arms fire, weapons from Iran that were being used by Shia militia groups in Iraq. And this EFP, as it's known, ended up killing Brandon Craig, wounding multiple others. And in the end, my team, we repelled the threat. We neutralized the enemy, but it came at a cost. And let me tell you about Corporal Brandon Craig. He comes from a great family, great parents, Danny and Mary Jane Craig. He's got two great siblings, Amber and Ryan. He's got a town of Earlville, Maryland, that loves him. As a matter of fact, there's a statue of Brandon in the center of town. But let me tell you about the man, Brandon Craig. He was killed on our 99th day of combat. And prior to that, he had already won 2 Valorous Awards for actions in combat engaged in enemy fire against the enemy. He was a model soldier. He was a great American. And his family to this day are my great friends. So my warrior shout out goes to Corporal Brandon Craig from Earlville, Maryland. You will never be forgotten, brother. God bless you. Rest in peace. God bless your family. And that's it for today. I appreciate you tuning in. If you like us, please follow us. Subscribe to our page on YouTube. Don't forget my book, Surrender or Die, Reflections of a Combat Leader, where I talk about a lot of the things I talked about today. You can find that on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or you can go to my website, pmehard.com, to pick up your copy. And last but not least, thank you to our sponsors, Downrange Supplements, the brand of the troops. You want to get better at who you are and what you do, visit your local commissary if you're a service member, a veteran, or a military spouse, and pick up your Downrange Supplements. So thank you all, everybody. God bless you. God bless America. Boom.